All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introvert Show. I'm your host, Senor Filth. I'm joined by Tara, the Benevolent Asshole, and Axiom Paradox. And we're going to kind of continue our discussion with just our origins in general. And I want to specifically kind of address like that weird moment where we kind of realize like the shit's kind of hitting the fan, whether it be through a conversation with someone or I don't know, just some big event that we just noticed that something was a little off. Um, I guess if anyone wanted to like start off with like what we mean by like maybe our red pill moment or whatever, even though I hate that term, but if anyone wants to start off like with, I don't know, what their big moment was.
I think
Anybody?
I saw a lot of it happening for a long time, like all last year especially.
Hmm.
We were just having conversations and stuff at home, sort of like basically predicting what was gonna happen next, and then it all happened.
Yeah.
But I think after all of last year, my moment was when I was just having a conversation with my mom,
Hmm.
and I was trying to talk about issues with voting. I don't know if I can actually say it now without us getting taken down. How they were widespread, whatever scale they were in, it was happening. There were
Hmm.
already some stories about some things going missing and finding like dumped along the side of the road or whatever.
Hmm.
And I was very like calm, just casual conversation, and she suddenly snapped at me, and she never snaps at me.
Hmm.
And it was just like, well, that's just what Trump wants you to think. Like I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
oh no, oh, not mom. Like it's like, oh, I know what channel she's watching all the time too. But it was like there was nothing I knew at that moment that there wasn't anything I could say with information that was really going to
Hmm.
help. So unfortunately, it's sort of one of those things like we can't talk about anything about what's going on in current
Yeah.
current events anymore. Because I realized like I want there to be enough of our conspiracy theories to become true. And
Hmm.
then I just want to like, and I don't know if I'll do it, but I just want to like send them an email and be like, see, this actually happened. This was actually true. And we're working on a pretty good list at this point. So maybe I will. I also don't want to be a dick about it. So
Yeah, there is a weird fine line of like sharing your information but not like pushing it on people or like
right. Yeah. And
yeah.
and that's like kind of why I leave it alone
Hmm.
with her too. Like I'd much rather have a relationship with my parents than completely
Yeah.
destroy it over politics. So
Yeah, like it really has like just affected just public discussion and discourse, for the negative, when you just try to have a conversation about the something fraud that happened, and there's a weird like over defense of like you're talking to someone that doesn't follow it and they're super defensive over like things that they don't understand.
yeah.
And
And that was that moment with me too, because I wasn't even saying that, oh well, they're just going to steal the election or anything like
hmm.
that. I was just saying, it's kind of concern
Yeah.
when, regardless of who's on the ballot, I didn't ultimately it doesn't matter who's on the ballot that's getting dumped or trashed. Like it's still
Hmm.
somebody's vote, and that vote should matter, and that's a
Hmm.
concern.
Yeah, I had a similar kind of thing when someone was listening to like the radio. I don't know, it might have been NPR. I don't remember. But they were talking about the whatever fraud, wink, wink, and the reporter was like, their attitude of it was wasn't so much that this was going on, but it was like, well, I mean, even if there was, it's like not enough to even matter. So I mean, on to the next
Yes.
subject.
Yes.
And for
But
me, I think I stopped and I was like, what the hell is this bitch talking
right.
about? Like, that's not the
Right.
point as to why this needs to be investigated.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's actually going to throw the election or not. It's not
Yeah.
okay that it happens at all.
Yeah. Like the bank's isn't gonna be like, oh well, someone, stole 200,000 from our bank, but it's not enough for us to get bankrupt. So I mean, why
Right.
even press charges? And
Why should that even be a problem?
yeah, and I
Well,
remember. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say what was interesting, real quick. If you like fast forward past the election and past the whole January issue and everything,
Yeah,
like I was having another like kind of brief conversation with her about voting and everything,
yeah.
and I was just like, well, what about what was going on in Pennsylvania, where they were basically, what was it, Supreme Court or whatever, it was like, you need to, these are not valid or whatever. And they were like, no, we're not going to listen to you. We're going to count them anyway.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's oversimplifying it. But she even acknowledged that, yeah, something was weird going on there. So like she went from, but she still never like acknowledged that it was an ongoing issue or anything.
Yeah.
It was just weird because I was just like, so you understand that this happened, you saw this, and you're okay with that, but you won't
Yeah.
admit that this is not just an isolated incident.
Like the fact that like the conversation went from like voter fraud to whatever to widespread. I was even
Right.
kind of like, that's kind of a weird red flag that they're being loosey goosey with this term, and
Yeah.
I don't even think they've even like explained what widespread voter
Right.
fraud even was,
Well,
to the
I
point
think
where,
that,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was to the point where like whenever someone brings that term up, I just like, well, for you personally, like if you saw widespread voter fraud, like what would you like? How would you define it? So I can,
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong, but like, what do you think it is? And like, I don't really get like an
Right.
answer.
Like widespread, it means that it's a problem everywhere, regardless
Yeah,
of scale.
yeah, like every single vote ever was of fraud, like or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was one of the things too, like when they immediately started to try to like throw your attention in a different direction on it too, was
Hmm.
the fact that they immediately was like, there's no widespread voter fraud, and that was like the soundbite
Yeah,
every
yeah,
day. It's like, okay, well, obviously you're trying to get people to think this way. Like it's
yeah.
just real blatant like propaganda, sort of like brainwashing. Like we say this enough times, that's all they'll remember.
I did like noticing like how they would sort of shift the goalposts with all that. Like first it was there's no fraud, everyone's crazy, and then there was like, well, there's not enough fraud to make a difference,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
there was like, well, I mean, Trump's a jerk,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Can't
like
win.
how much of that was like people's willful ignorance, or just and just the media in general? Do you think? Because
Yeah, I
I'm a
mean,
little torn on.
yeah, like you have to have a certain level of willful ignorance to go along with things, but
Mhm.
I mean, I also remember like if you don't care enough to look into politics, right? Like you don't care enough about what's happening to do any kind of research. You
Mhm.
really do just listen to the talking points. Like
Yeah.
I remember, not as bad as it is now, but like I remember being that person. Like I didn't do the research, I didn't read into
Mhm.
it, I didn't really question it. I was like, well, of course they're telling me the truth.
Yeah.
um, why would they lie about something like this? And of course this is for the greater good. Like it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
it all made so much sense when you don't do any research with it. But it's like once you start to look into it a little, you can't unsee it, and you can't unthink it. You can't stop
Mhm.
looking into it and being suspicious of stuff. Like, and you really should be. You should question everything.
Yeah. Like for me, like I'm kind of fine with the over hysteria with RussiaGate or whatever the hell, because at
Mhm.
least people at least pretended to care about voting. But like with this,
Right.
there was just this wave of like, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
it is
And a lot of,
voting. You know.
yeah, a lot of people also, like just some random interviews and stuff that I saw
Hmm.
during election time was
Hmm.
like, well, do you believe there was any fraud or whatever? Like, well, if there was, I don't care as long as Biden wins.
Yeah.
Like that was like the general consensus too. Like, at least it's not Trump.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's see. You obviously don't actually care about the whole like United States and democratic president.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, that doesn't really bode well for the future of voting in general.
No,
Um,
it's not.
uh, I mean, I know there are a couple of states have gone the voter ID law route.
Mhm.
Exactly. The
But
point that they won't like try to acknowledge the integrity of voter ID. I mean,
mhm,
that's something very simple, like voter ID, and then look into that, make sure that voter ID im- um is being used. And then same
mhm,
thing with mail-in voting. That should
mhm.
be
Mhm.
something that needs to be regulated. You can't just like send out like millions and billions of
Yeah,
mail-in votes.
blind mailing. Yeah,
Yeah.
But
like if you're gonna do a mail-in ballot, it really should be like filing for an absentee ballot where you have to
Yeah.
request it, your information's there, it has to be verified. Like I'm not opposed to people mailing in ballots, but I'm
Mhm.
opposed to what happened last year. Like that was wrong.
Yeah. Like I remember I got like I think I wish I would have kept it, but like maybe three different uh mail ballot things. I never even requested. I just got
Yeah.
like, here's
Huh.
another one. Here's another one this week. Here's another one
Same.
this week.
Well, that was
I,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tara.
Oh, I said same. The same thing was happening at my house. I
Mhm,
got I had actually I was worried that they were going to try to shut down the poll booths in my
mhm,
neighborhood. So
mhm,
so I had requested what is it called? An absentee ballot.
mhm,
And so that came, but then along with that came two mail-in ballots.
mhm.
And like they're not the same thing. So
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they're completely different. And I'm like, okay.
yeah. I remember when I went to the actual voting booth, like it was empty, like no one was there, and I was giving my name to the person that works there, and I like they were having trouble like spelling my name, and I was just like, I have my ID. If you want to just read it from there, they're just like, no, no, thank you. Really
yeah.
snappy about it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you guys. Like whoever like actually went in person to vote, did you
Mm,
guys get anybody to ask you for your ID? And that's something that's like
no.
very simple. I mean, I don't see
Yeah.
why that can't be enforced.
You know
Yeah,
what's
you have to have an
interesting?
ID to do everything else. So why wouldn't you be required to have an ID to vote?
Mhm,
Like,
Exactly.
I mean, I know why they're not requiring it. Like, I get it, but just
mhm,
common sense would tell you that, why not?
mhm. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
I just remember like as soon as I left, like after I voted, like the woman, she was like, "Don't you want like one of those little I voted stickers?" Like, "Oh no, no, I'm all right." And then she kind of like gave me like this weird like look as I left. So I mean that's why I knew like, oh boy, this election's it's gonna be fun. I can kind
When
of
I
tell.
went to vote, I know we're in different states,
Hmm.
but like we had to go up to the counter, and then they had our driver's licenses and
Hmm.
scan those, and then we had to sign a signature pad
Okay.
after we had our license put in, and then
Hmm.
we just had like a paper ballot. And so like the ballot itself that we filled out wasn't identified to
Yeah.
us specifically. It went into like a generic box, but like they took tally, I guess, of people with their actual IDs.
Yeah.
So it was
I
at least a little better.
Yeah. When I voted, it was the in question machine that was used, and even when I was doing it, I was like entering the stuff on the little computer thing. I was like, this could easily kind of be tweaked with, but I'm not gonna fucking say anything. But
Yeah.
and lo and behold,
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It's funny,
Yep.
along with that same subject with that conversation when she had snapped at me. She was talking about, I was like, well, Oregon's been doing mail-in ballots for years and we've never had any problems. And I was thinking like, okay,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
Mhm.
But I couldn't really say anything, And I had brought it up to my husband, and I was just like, well, I mean, it's been like Democratic there for a long time or whatever.
Yeah.
They're long gone. He was like,
Yeah.
but is it though? Is it? If they've been doing mail-in ballots that long? It's like that's a really good point. There's a little bit more like signatures and stuff with them there too, but
In
I
Portland?
mean, yeah, or in
okay.
Oregon in general.
Oh, okay.
It's all mail-in ballot. I mean, you can drop it off in person, and you can still go in person if you want to, but they just automatically mail it to you.
I don't remember, like, in 2016 I did mail ballot. But I don't remember if there was any signature required. I think it was just fill in the dot or whatever.
I feel like this one, because I remember doing it way back when I was still a resident there, and I think that there was a signature on it. I don't know how much verification and stuff actually goes with it, but I do think I had to sign it.
I mean, are you guys getting a vibe that like people are starting to care more about the voting story, or like they still just don't give a shit? Because I'm getting a vibe that they still don't give a shit.
Well, I
Yes
mean,
and no. Didn't something just flip in Georgia, like where they required the ID and then suddenly wasn't Abrams suddenly like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
well,
don't trust her that
what
much.
I don't
Yeah.
trust her either.
what
but-
doesn't make any sense is a lot of these people that are like public assistants. Don't you need like an ID to collect like WIC and all those
Yeah,
special
yeah.
programs and welfare? Like, need an ID. Like, but now that you have to vote, oh, it's too hard to get the ID.
It's
How about you shut up?
democracy.
These
Yeah.
people aren't smart enough to do this.
You need an ID to get a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just like I was 16 when I got a job. I had to go get an ID.
Yeah. I mean,
How about this? If you're too stupid to get an ID, then you shouldn't vote.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
It's
there
like,
you go.
I
you.
swear, I'm sorry. If you're too stupid to get an ID, like then you don't.
Our future
deserve to
should not
vote.
be in your hands.
Yeah. I've kind of grown to like think, because when I was younger, my dad told me like, if people just don't know anything about this stuff, just don't vote. And I never really gave them that much thought. But now I'm at a point where like I genuinely think that like if someone just thinks like politics in general is just boring or whatever, I'd be fine if they didn't vote. Like maybe just do something else that day or something. Don't follow it if you're not going to understand it. I mean,
Yeah, voting for the wrong thing could be worse than
yeah.
Yeah.
not voting at all. But I mean, who knows? Maybe they did vote a couple times.
You know.
But that's the thing. That's the thing, though. Sorry, I think I spoke a little loud.
Go ahead.
Like you go, like I think culture has a lot to do with it too, because then people go to concerts and like I'm a music junkie, so I love music. And it's so infested in like politics is so infested in music, and it's okay for it to exist there, but it's so one-sided, especially it's to our own demise. Like I went to a concert and it's like there's like this one guy is like, vote intelligently. I'm like, shut up. And then it's like, and then all these people with their anti-Trump shirts.
Yeah.
And like, if you're gonna vote, at least educate your crowd, like as far as why you should vote a certain way. Don't just like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like have a
I'm-
discussion about like what it is that they believe in or actual facts.
Yeah, but none of them want to actually have like a discussion about it. It's all about just getting people angry and just letting that lead into making the worst choices.
It has like a sports fan kind of like loyalty to it. Like when someone's a Laker fan, they're just a Laker fan no matter what. They don't want to talk about like
Yeah.
why they suck this year or whatever.
And when they
I-
don't win, they burn the city.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey,
Or
when
they-
they do win,
or when they win,
the
they yeah. That's the
I,
same.
When they
I
win.
think I think that's how I got like my red pill moment too.
You want to
Was
get into
because
it?
a little bit, I'm not gonna go into it that
Yeah,
deep.
no problem.
It's just more like me even before because initially like I've said it before, like I didn't vote for Trump the first time along, but when I was just trying to figure things out, and I was mostly watching from the outside, seeing like what people were saying on Facebook and Instagram, and
Mhm.
especially Facebook was like so one-sided,
Yeah.
and anytime you would try to talk to any of these people, like I wasn't even like back then, I don't think I was like a Trump supporter. I was more like trying to like educate myself, trying to
Yeah.
figure these things out, because the way the system is kind of set up is just like, okay, like either it's like too far left or it's too far right. It's never, so it sort of demoralized people over the years before Trump came into office.
Mhm.
So that's the kind of attitude I had at the time, but nobody really wanted to talk about it. Everybody was just like the media had polarized people so much that if you question something, it was already, oh, you're a Trump supporter or you're right wing or you're so and
Yeah.
so, that you can never get anything done. You can never have a conversation with anybody. And sure, I had to delete Facebook because people started attacking me. Instead, people were just, I couldn't really have a conversation. I kept seeing propaganda, so much propaganda from people's pages. I just
Yeah.
got rid of Facebook. And then on Instagram, the same thing is that after a while, I just started selectively asking people. I'm like, okay, this guy's really smart. Like, I know him. Like, I used to work with this guy. Let me ask him like what he thinks about this. Something that to me would seem like so black and white. It's like, what do you think about this? What do you? And it was just like they wouldn't want to hear it. It's like, I don't want to hear it. I just
Yeah.
don't want to hear, like, or they'll ask you questions or what about this? And it's like, but they would never take the time to actually answer any of my questions.
Mhm.
There's always like one-sided. I can never, and so yeah, I got blocked by so many different people. Some people that I used to work with, some people that I don't like, some people I can't really talk to them. And then I
Mhm.
know one guy, I guess I can consider this guy like my best friend just because he accepts me for who I am. But even he's like, um, yeah, he tells me like, hey, don't worry, just draw, man, just do your thing, man, don't draw. And I guess it's good advice, but at the same time, it's like it's really hard to ignore this stuff when they're shoving it in your face. I can't
Mhm.
enjoy my music without them shoving it in my face. I can't
Uh-huh.
enjoy art without them shoving it in my face. I can't enjoy like late night comedy without them shoving it in my face. I'm like, it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. It's like this is personal. Like you're taking away all these things that I loved over the years. Like, and it's you have to do something. We need to turn the tide, or at least
Yeah.
um,
Like,
that was my red pill moment. It's just that it seems that nobody wanted to hear it. It's so polarized that they didn't even want to hear it. So
It kind of feels like you ever like had like your group of friends and then like one of them brings someone that you don't like to a party, and then all of a sudden like every party that you go to they keep bringing that same person. It sort of has that same feel like
That's
when it comes to
horrible.
movies or like you just want
yeah,
to watch a movie and then like, oh boy, let me guess, the guy with the red MAGA hat is a bad guy. Oh yeah, okay, I got it.
yeah.
It has that same kind of
not
feel.
this douchebag again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
It's so drawn out
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and they're now they're overly using it. It's like a
Hmm.
dead joke.
Yeah, like I think with this whole COVID thing, that's when I started to notice like when politics was just flat out just becoming trendy, but like in a very narrow minded way. And that's when I started to like kind of like be a little like, oh boy, this isn't good. Because I like one of the like my big moments, at least for the COVID thing, was it was like the weekend after the Love Fest, George Floyd in LA, with all the fire and destruction. Um, I was having like a breakfast with I was having breakfast with some people, and like the brother of someone just said like, oh, it's like white supremacy, I think. And for me, like I already known about that whole white supremacy thing because it was like this internet thing that everyone that read about it just laughed at how ridiculous it was. But he said it in a way that was so. It came off
Real.
like it came off like so like, oh, I learned this on Facebook the other day and I'm just gonna use it because I'm like smart now. And I remember like on the way home, like my girl was like, "Are you okay?" And I was just like, "I'm not, but I don't know quite how to describe the problem I see coming." Yeah, because the concept of white supremacy just being like Nike's just do it, like just a slogan that's trendy and stuff like that. That's when I noticed like something wrong might be happening on.
Yeah. Well, that was another one of those like talking points that my mom brought up too. It's like, oh, but all the white supremacy and the police are attacking, you know, Black people on purpose all the time, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't think that that's how it's playing out, but I don't really know how to tell you this without.
Yeah. I remember a couple days after that happened, like I was on Instagram, just noticing like a lot of the wild shit that like friends and family were posting about like white supremacy and all that shit. And I contacted one of them. I just had the idea like maybe I should just talk to this one person just to like let them know that not to take the stuff seriously. And I tried to talk to them, but it was kind of like talking to a wall. Like they just didn't want to like respond. They kind of like tried to change the subject. And yeah, and like, did you guys have any moments like that where you just try to like, shake someone like everything's okay? It's not as bad as what it's being reported or whatever like that. And you guys have any moments like that?
I remember back when like what was it, around the time when Trump was doing his tour to North Korea?
Yeah.
Right? It's North Korea, right? Where Kim Jong-un is?
Yeah. The bad guy.
Yeah.
There's bad Korea.
Yeah, South Korea is South Korea is South Korea
good.
Yeah,
good.
North Korea. So yeah, he was doing he was doing his tour to like North Korea. And I remember everybody kept on saying that Trump's going to cause World War III. It was like everywhere, World War III. And then nothing
Oh yeah.
happened. And like the whole time I'm just like, okay, calm down. Like nothing's even happening. Like, I don't know where you're getting this information from. Like nothing like that is going on. Like, chill the hell out. Like there was a lot of that going on. After Trump got elected, it was like pandemonium. Like everybody just started like breaking down and freaking out.
Yes.
I voted for Trump for a year, like his first year. And for me, like my red pill moment was like, I mean, I've kind of always been awake, so I didn't want to vote for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Like around that time, I already knew about like Pizzagate and all that stuff. So like,
good
I already knew. Yeah. Pizzas, and pastas and stuff. So I knew about all that stuff. So I already knew that I didn't want to vote for Hillary Clinton. And then it just seemed like everything that they were about, it was just like they were trying to start a war.
Yeah.
Like everything that they would talk about, they were always pushing Russia. And it was just like for no reason whatsoever. It was like, hey, we're going to go out into the park later. No, Russia! You gotta watch out for Russia.
Yeah.
It was like you could be thinking about something completely unrelated, and then no, Russia hacked this. Really? Yeah. There was like building it up. And then so like I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely not going for that. I mean, like, you don't want to like go for someone who's trying to push a war, and she was definitely trying to push a war.
Yeah, wasn't she like was she talking about like in one of the debates like dropping bombs on Russia, I think? One of the presidential debates. I could have sworn that she was.
I'm not
I don't
sure.
remember, but that doesn't sound too far-fetched for her.
I think she was
exactly.
sort of Yeah, I think she was like sort of tiptoeing on like, oh, we're gonna bomb this and blah blah. Like, and I think I remember hearing like, is anybody here?
There is a clip of her saying something like that. I can't remember what it was about, but yeah, it was one of those on stage moments where she like gets up and she just starts like acting like she knows what she's talking about. But for me, like my real Trump red pill moment was the grab her by the pussy on the bus.
Yeah.
Like for the longest they were talking about it. Honestly, I thought it was funny.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
and
anybody
and
that
then
understands a sense of humor.
yeah. I didn't find anything offensive by it. I just thought that it was funny. Like, come on, he's just a normal person. Like, he was probably making some stupid joke, whatever. Like, let me. So I was curious about it, so I had to find the actual clip, and I sat and I listened to it. I'm like, that's not what he said at all.
Yeah. I remember like when that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, half of the time they'll go on these news stations and like cut off like half of what he's saying, and then like it wasn't just the grab by the pussy, it was the Mexicans are rapists. It was all sorts of shit, and
the good people on both sides. I'm just
like, yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
you listen to the entire clip.
All that stuff.
Yeah, it's not even that long a clip. It's like 20 seconds. You know?
Yeah.
Like they're like really short clips, and it's like if you would have just watched that like just a second longer, you would have just heard everything that he said. And then when you hear it on the news, it was like they took a sentence and they refurbished it like and changed it around. So like it wasn't that like, because in the original conversation he doesn't even say grab her by the pussy or I grab him by the pussy. He said you can do whatever you want, grab him by the pussy. He never even mentioned himself. So so it's like he never mentioned himself. He was explaining a situation that people just do when celebrities are around, and they took it and they ran a mile a second with that thing, and they just took grab him by the pussy, and that's what Trump said, and then he did it. Like, like that was the whole formula. And after that I was just like, well, I mean, what else are they like not fully covering? And then it just like became like a whole list of shit that they weren't fully covering. And I'm just like, wow, how was I so like, I was like really into watching like Trevor Noah, what is it, the show with John Oliver. Like, I was into all those shows, those talk shows, and it was like they're feeding fake, like the wrong information. I wouldn't even say that it's fake information because they're talking about the topic, but it's like it's not correct. Like they're it's like
selective
cutting pieces.
Out of context.
It's selective information.
The grab him by the pussy thing, it didn't strike me as something that needed to be blown up the way it was either. But and then I related it to somebody saying, well, you got to grab him by the balls. So you're just changing it's like, so it's okay to say that, but because the grab him by the pussy thing came out around the whole Me Too movement thing, they really played that up.
I remember when that happened. My school, they sent out like an email, but like a locker room talk discussion, like everybody can have discuss their moments where they just felt uncomfortable or whatever. And I think I like responded to that email as like a chain email. Like I feel like, who gives a shit? Like, Bill Clinton has actually done this kind of shit. And then they responded with like, well, this isn't a partisan thing. And I was like, I doubt that. I mean, wouldn't the discussion be based on Bill Clinton doing the shit? And I don't remember if they responded, but that was like a big like, oh god, this is getting annoying kind of thing. And plus, didn't that like, that evolved into like the Pussy Hats thing, didn't it?
It did.
Ugh,
did.
God,
that's where those things came from.
Oh god.
You guys remember like the the interpretation of Adam Schiff's conversation of Trump with the guy from Ukraine, the president from Ukraine. You guys remember that?
The impeachment thing?
Yeah, the impeachment thing, the one
Yeah.
that turned out to be like all a lie. It was all like a parody.
Yeah, like
You guys remember that?
Oh,
That was
yes.
I
Oh, man.
I remember reading the conversation, like
the actual
because
transcript, right?
because a lot of people don't realize that like it wasn't like leaked out. Like Trump, the administration, they like released it as a big like
Yeah.
this is what you
Exactly,
guys
Trump.
are.
Yeah,
And I read
exactly.
it.
Trump. hmm
And I read it and I was just like, there's nothing here. And then that was like a whole year or so of shit. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's so funny because like the original transcript is clean. Like it's
Mhm.
Trump is completely transparent. And if you read it, it's not even that long. It's like a page or a page and a
Yeah.
half, like long. It's clean. But then like Adam Schiff, and what pisses me off is that I don't understand, like when somebody goes up there and says like a big lie like that, I don't know why they can't get him like under oath because
I know.
what did Adam Schiff say about it? I don't remember.
well, he was saying he said like I'm trying to look at it. I was like when he was talking, I have it here somewhere. I had it here.
All I know is that like the way he was
Yeah.
talking, it was like an old black and white detective movies. Whoa, hey, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm only gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm only gonna say it 7 times. You
Yeah.
better get dirt on my political opponent, and you better get it good. And I'm gonna introduce you to my Attorney General Bill Barr, and also you're gonna love Rudy. You're gonna meet him too. And yeah, like it's just like it was so fake. It's completely fake. It's you can find the transcript too of Schiff.
Yeah.
His parody interpretation
Yeah.
of it, and then like the media like cleans it up. It's like, oh well, he was only joking. It's not a big deal. I don't see how people didn't see that he was only. That was like, that's so defamatory, man. It's like
you're gonna do my bidding, okay? You're gonna do my bidding.
put that guy in jail already.
Yeah, I don't think he ever is though. Isn't there a street in LA named after him? Isn't there like an Adam Schiff Boulevard somewhere?
Well, there's a
Is
lot of
there?
shit. There's a lot of
I
shit
know
in
there's
streets
an
out there.
There's a lot of shift in LA.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shift in
Oh,
LA.
I actually stepped in some this morning, so yeah.
I hope it was dog and not human. No, when I was in college, like my last year was exactly after the elections. And I remember being in class and just all through the halls, you just hear, not my president, not my president. It's like, oh my God. And they would march into and interrupt classrooms doing this. Like every day for like a week straight, they were doing this. I think even more.
Yeah.
And then like it turned into not just the marching around in classes. I think someone complained, and that's why they had to stop doing it. So after that, then it was they would gather inside of the courtyards like in groups and yell in megaphones and stuff. It was just like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And nothing even happened.
Yeah.
And, like right when he was elected, first of all, I was surprised. I didn't think that he would actually win, just because of the way everything goes. So that was the first surprise. But then I was actually kind of in shock, and I guess this may have been kind of like maybe my first red pill moment. When he was elected, everybody started freaking out. People that didn't want him, not everybody, but people were crying and screaming, and they were just so heartbroken that Hillary didn't, win or whatever. And immediately the news turned into like this huge negativity fest. And I was like, he hasn't even had a chance to screw anything up yet. He was just elected and they're already ripping him down, and for me, I was just like, this is not, this is not okay. Like, this isn't what should happen, you know, like you at least give him a chance to mess something up before you start ripping him a new one, you know?
Yeah,
America was in love with Trump before he ran for president.
Yeah. I remember something similar like when Bush was first elected, but I don't remember it being so like hyperbolically like doomsday, like, you know, he's gonna split our families or whatever the fuck. Like,
Right. I think it
like
was a lot of negative coverage. Like, my husband was talking about that too, because he's followed news and everything a lot longer than I have, since he's always been awake.
yeah.
But he was talking about how, you know, even like the Today Show and just your mainstream media and stuff in general, he was just like, yeah, they shit all over Bush and they talk crap about him all the time. Not quite to the level of Trump, but they were definitely not good to him either. And then Bush's daughter got a job on the Today Show, and then it turned into like a love fest for Bush. His daughter Jenna.
Yeah.
And so like they'd have like they run specials on Bush and what a great father he was because Jenna worked there, you know.
Was this
And
when he was in office or?
This was after. This was when was this? This was when
Obama's in?
Obama and Trump, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was a bunch of good stuff about Bush. But yeah, it was weird because it's like for him especially, it was weird because he remembers when they'd trash all over him and
Yeah, there is something about like just the hyper emotional state of all that. It's like there's politicians that I'm not a fan of, but I don't get overly emotional when I like see pictures of them or some shit. You know what I mean? Like I just go, oh, that guy's a douche or whatever.
I think that if you have an emotional response to politics, like if your immediate reaction when somebody doesn't get elected is to cry and freak out and stuff, like you probably are not in the right mind to be voting in the first place.
Yeah.
Like if you're not level-headed enough, like you probably were not voting for the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah, those Michael Jackson moments, you know, when they're throwing themselves at these politicians like they're something like special.
Gods and gonna save the world and everything.
Yeah.
Newsflash, they create a lot of the problems.
That's how it was for when Obama won. I remember that I remember watching that election, and I voted for Obama the first time. And there were people like Johnny. Was it Johnny Carson?
Johnny Carson is right.
There you go. Johnny Cochran.
Oh, there we go.
It was either Johnny Cochran or it was what's the Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
They were crying. It was one of them, and they were crying, and Oprah was crying, and I'm just like, really, it's not that damn serious.
It's all theater, man. They're just race hustlers.
Yeah.
I remember in one of Michael Moore's, I think it's a capitalism documentary he did. Like, there's a like Obama was elected moment in the end of it, and it's just like people cheering in the streets and shit like that and crying. And even then, I was just like, well, why are people like overly like celebrating this? It's something unnerving about it. Like, he didn't win like America's Got Talent. Like, he's just the president, you know. He's just supposed to just.
What if elections were run like America's Got Talent? That would be insane.
I kind of think in the future that's like if shit like remains, I think it'll eventually be like that. Like,
that's what I always thought too. Like they should just morph it into that.
Because it should be a lot more boring and like and dorky. But
have you all seen Idiocracy?
Oh, yes. I love that movie.
Best movie ever. Oh my god, that movie predicted the future. I swear.
We're definitely heading down that path.
Drink water?
Now.
Like from the toilet?
Yeah.
Like Bruno. It's got electrolytes.
I love the Costco that's like the size of a city or something like that. Remember that?
Yeah.
There's like planes crashed in there and shit.
They were
Yeah.
gonna get lost in Costco.
Yeah, like, and then I think one of the characters like got his law degree at the Costco. I think.
Yeah, yes.
Oh man.
Man, now that you just said that, I gotta download that movie.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah. I need to watch it again. It's been a while since I've seen it. I was
Yeah,
just
I just
like, I was
downloaded
thinking
it.
about the whole like Vax passport sort of deals and stuff, and where they get like their barcodes on their wrists, the tattoos and stuff. They get,
Yeah.
he gets his like arm trapped and
Yeah, I like the I think they call it rehab at the end, but it's like a deathmatch arena with like monster trucks or something like
Yes.
that. And like one of them is like too big to like enter the arena. Remember that? I think it just like
yeah,
it gets stuck in the entrance or some shit. It was
it's a
fucking
good
great.
movie. I'll have to
That
watch
movie
that
is
again.
awesome. The movie.
I've thought about that movie several times over the last little while.
I think a lot
Yeah.
of people might have.
That and Demolition Man for me.
Oh yeah, that movie's awesome. Yeah,
I
I was thinking like it sort of feels like these kind of podcasts are in a way of becoming sort of like Dennis Leary's Society in those movies. What were they called? Remember the Underground Society, like where they had the rat burger?
yeah.
Like that's what these kind of podcasts are gonna kind of become, like the digital version of that. You know? Oh, that movie's awesome.
Watch soon. Soon we're gonna have the realistic version of that.
Yeah.
Rat burger.
Were there any other moments you guys like nudged you to like that were sort of red pilly? Because another one for me, it was like as far as an event was a Trayvon Martin thing that happened. It was like 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like a big I don't know if you guys ever heard of Opie and Anthony. It's like this sort of Howard Stern type of radio show, but it was kind of shocking to me because that was the only show that was like a satellite radio show that was willing to have a relatively nuanced conversation about the whole Trayvon Martin thing. Everywhere else was just like very one-sided, like, oh well, this is a problem for the Black community, blah blah blah. And I would switch to Opie and Anthony, and I was just like really kind of floored that like a show that's as silly as Opie and Anthony, like, you know, what they talk about trannies, they talk about all this other stuff. There's like, you know, fart humor, but like that was the show that I knew of at the time that was willing to have like a pretty balanced conversation. It was still silly, but at least like, you know, the guy Anthony, he had his point of view. And then they had Jimmy and the other guys had their point of views. It was really eye-opening to me, like that a show that is so meant to be not to be taken seriously was having like a far more realistic conversation than just mainstream news or anything really. That's for me was like the big like, yeah, I don't think I need to watch the news anymore. I think I'll just do my own research from here on out.
It is interesting when you encounter that, when you find something that's like, I wouldn't have ever thought that they would have talked about this, and why are they the only ones that have brought this up? Like, it's like, I thought about this, but why are they the only ones that said anything, you know?
Yeah.
For me, I had to like reroute or rewire like my way of thinking, or like what I was like intaking when it came to like watching TV shows. Like I said, I was always watching like Trevor Noah and stuff, and the Daily Shows and stuff. So then like I had to like find, like I was trying to like disprove at first like what I was hearing, and then it turned into me trying to find more information that I wasn't getting yet, you know? So I was like trying to find other shows, So like I ended up I love Louder and Crowder. That's like my favorite
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
Like I cannot go without that show at all. I hate when they take a break during Christmas through New Year's, and
Yeah,
it
yeah.
kills me. But that show like saved me. And then like I mean like back in the day I used to listen to like a lot of like radio shows like Coast to Coast
Mm-hmm.
and Rush Limbaugh
Mm-hmm.
and Art Bell, um like they're like all in the same like program.
Yeah.
And I mean I was always just listening. Like I don't know, like I feel like I never really paid attention until that moment, like hit like 2016. Like it was all 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was in that moment that like I mean like what the election was like from 2015 through 2016, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like 2015, it was like he's just running because he's a celebrity,
Yeah.
and then once once everything came down to just a minimal amount of people, then it was like, well, what is he really saying? And then
Mm-hmm.
once the media really started like touching bases on things that he had said before, and they started doing smear campaigns and all that stuff, that's
Mm-hmm.
when I really started like digging in and listening to what all these other people were saying. I didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
like after I had voted, like a lot of people, I was afraid because like a lot of shows I just couldn't relate to anymore.
Yeah. Same
And
here.
so like yeah, trying to like find those shows to like just relate to is really getting
Mhm.
hard, because like then you're finding out like even like your favorite actors are like these people turning their back on you, like just because you voted one way. Like I mean Eminem started talking shit, and it was
Yeah.
like one artist after another was like taking a hit, taking a hit, taking a hit. And it was like, it's like, okay, at what point is this no longer just one celebrity hating another celebrity, and how and like and cross the threshold into, okay, now it seems like propaganda. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're just saying this to get like either popular off of like, oh, if I tweet Trump sucks, then that tweet's gonna get like a million likes because
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh, fuck Trump, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
then yeah, it's like yeah, it's exactly like that. Like, and then and then like they all just started jumping on the bandwagon, and it was like after a while I was just like, well, I mean, I'm not the type of person that's just gonna jump on a bandwagon without
Yeah.
knowing what's on that fucking wagon.
Right.
Well, it's like this. I mean, this might be like a bad example, but like I grew up in South LA, so I remember like riding the bus for like a long time, and I remember people getting in the bus, and then like a lot of times, like if you would ride like in the back of the bus, people like would start rolling up their joints and like or drink like their 40 in the back, and then people would be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the shit. Oh yeah. It's like, but like if somebody like pulls up like a book and starts reading, or somebody does like something like nice, like people don't care. But like as soon as somebody like does something like smoke weed, like dude, that's not a big deal. Whatever, who cares? Let
Mm-hmm.
the guys smoke their weed or they're 40 in the back of the bus. There's nothing to celebrate, and it's the
Yeah.
same thing that's happening now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like when in middle school, if you saw someone smoking weed, it's like, oh my god. But like in high school or college, you see someone smoking weed, it's like,
Cool.
I've seen that
Yeah.
when I
yeah,
was young.
man, that's
It's not that cool. And
yeah. Well, like, have you guys seen too? Like, you can't even go to a Foo Fighters concert without
oh yeah,
being vaccinated. It's like you have to be vaccinated
Yeah.
to go. It's like, what the hell happened to you, girl, man? What happened to
That's the
you?
new virtual signal for the celebrities and shit too.
yeah.
They try to
Yeah.
usher you in with concert tickets. My neighbor is talking to me about taking me to a concert, and I'm like, hey, like I'm not getting vaccinated to go to a freaking concert. He's like, you're not vaccinated yet. I'm like, I ain't getting that shit. Get out of
See
here.
that's the thing. Like, I know, like my friend told me, it's like, don't worry about it. Like, don't stop looking into it. Just do your thing. Just do the drawing. But like stuff like that, that's just the kind of stuff that really pisses me off.
Mhm.
I really don't care about Foo Fighters, but it's gonna keep going down this same route where
Yeah.
like you can't do anything without having to like bend the knee to like, do something that you used to enjoy back in the days. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get the jab, you'll get free fried chicken.
Fried chicken.
Yeah.
It's
Donuts.
like
Do you think like this COVID thing will ever blow over, or do you think it's just going to keep on just getting more and more?
I think they're gonna nurse it, and they have already talked about other variants. So they're,
But yeah, I think that
I
the
think it's
Delta
more
variant.
more of a warning to us than hey, be careful sort of deal. Like I think it's more of a
well,
I mean, as far
be
as like,
prepared for it to happen again.
I mean, as far as like even just watching a commercial and no, like you don't see any commercial with people like a Save-On's commercial and people have masks. Like, that's just not gonna be a thing. Like
Yeah.
I have no idea when that's gonna like stop being a thing.
Yeah.
There was even like a car insurance commercial, and there was like the fine print at the bottom of the screen was like everybody social distance during the making of it. Like, really? Did you really need to say that? Like, did anyone really care when they were watching these imaginary people they've never met on TV before?
Yeah.
Well, like in California, they lifted the mask mandate, but I'm still seeing like a lot of people at the supermarket wearing the mask. It's like, I don't know if I'm using the right term, like the Stockholm syndrome, but it's like,
no, it is. Yeah.
It's like, so it's like, what's wrong with you? Or like the other detail too was that during I mean, I guess we're still kind of like in the COVID mode, but they're having people line up in the middle of the supermarket. That way to keep people 6 feet apart. And for like a long time, like a few weeks or maybe like a month ago, they announced that you don't have to wait in the middle of the aisle anymore.
Yeah.
And people were still doing it, even though they kept announcing it. They put a sign out there, and people were still like just like little mice still lining up in the middle. And I would be like, hey, you guys don't have to do that anymore. It's like, you don't have to do that anymore. You don't have to wear masks. You don't have to wait. It's like,
I will admit, when I stand in line, but I don't really like being close to people in general. But when I stand in line, they still have like in some of those stores, they've got like the stickers on the floor every 6 feet, you know?
Yeah.
I still kind of like hang out on the sticker because I don't want to be close to people anyway. It has nothing to do with being afraid of COVID. I just don't want to be anywhere near them.
Yeah. Well, the clever thing too that they're doing is that now that they're announcing too, is like, well, if you're vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anymore. So even somebody that's wearing a mask and they see somebody like the one or two people are not wearing a mask, they're like, oh, well, if I get vaccinated, I don't have to wear a mask. And so it's like a lose-lose situation. It's like, it's like, I'm not wearing it because I'm not a slave, huh?
Like I've been out quite a bit without a mask on since we were allowed to live our lives again. But I have found that like I don't talk about the vaccine or COVID when I'm out because I don't want to slip up and be like, yeah, I didn't get that shit. And like somebody hear me and then kick me out of where I am.
Oh my God,
You get stunned. You get tased.
I was in the grocery store the other day and I was thinking that exact same thing. I'm like, okay, I hope nobody tries to like start up a conversation with me, like wondering why I'm not wearing a mask.
Of course I'm vaccinated.
I identify.
It is a nice little moment though when like today I went to the store to just pick up some eggs, and everyone of course has masks and shit like that, but like there was a nice little moment where I saw another guy without a mask. We just had it like a look,
it's like when you have like a real unique car and you drive by somebody else's car and there's like that moment you're like, yeah, we're the same.
I wonder though, like if I could like ask anybody that like tomorrow they're just going to be that person, like, oh, I have my hand sanitizer right here, I'm going to do 2 masks today because you never know. Like at that person, like what the fuck are you waiting for? Like,
right,
are you waiting for like some announcement from the heavens that you can just move on with your life? Like, even when I see people driving with fucking mask and they can't stop talking about like, oh my God, the CDC. Like,
well, technically they just did that. They like literally just did that. They just went on the news and they said you don't have to wear a mask, and these people are still like so scared. They have to like come out and say it like so many times on the news before they actually like let go of it. It's like a security blanket.
I had a couple of friends visit and they're fully vaccinated. scared little Democrats. But they walked into my house with 2 masks on,
Yeah.
Oh man.
and I was standing there, I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's like, well, why did you get it in the first place if this is how you're going to be?
Yeah. Why don't people just like, walk around in like fucking, deep sea diver outfits or something if they're that scared?
Yeah.
Just like,
Snorkels.
can you just relax for like 5 minutes?
I've seen
Yeah.
somebody in like Walmart in a hazmat suit before, or
Oh,
like
really?
the whole like the doctor suit,
Uh-huh.
like for surgery. I've seen somebody like walking into a place into like a wall. It was either Walmart or it was like a grocery store, like Ralph's or something.
Yeah.
And let's see, I also seen people wearing like at the start of everything. I saw people wearing like not the hazmat suits. What is it? The gas masks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw people wearing gas masks. Someone had a shoe on their face. Yeah, like the weirdest stuff. Someone had a sock around their tied around their face.
Were you in Walmart?
No, that time I was.
This sounds like
in
the people
store.
of Walmart.
Yeah.
That time I was in the liquor store. I was in like 7-Eleven or something, and like this black guy, he's like, "Oh yeah, you can make a mask out of anything. I just made one with a sock." I'm like,
that guy's pretty awesome.
there you go. There you go.
I mean, he must think he's a real MacGyver.
Yep.
Well, like in the 90s and I think early 2000s, like if you look at any of those movies, I can't like really think of any of those specific virus movies. It's like people sort of like fall in love with those movies and like suspend their disbelief so much that they sort of in a way cast themselves, or they've been waiting for this moment. Finally, like what they've been predicting in movies for a long time. Finally, I can cast myself into this role of an idiot trying to survive in this sort of like apocalypse, this sort of what's it called, dystopian future. Is like, oh, finally I can be part of it. I can be this superhero, this survivor, and wear this mask and like be up against all the odds, and I can fight for everybody's equality. I can go out there and march and for like every person of color and people that eat babies and never mind. People just romance the role. Like it's like we're so delusional. Really so delusional.
Do you think that has to do with like maybe like a general lack of like purpose and direction that people have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of think that.
Especially like the Antifa types. They finally have a purpose, like, yes.
Yeah, because there's this general, like whenever I fucking almost vomit every time I've seen like people post like those, I just got the vaccine today, I'm one of the likable people, thumbs up. And
what's funny is that like a little while back, what's her name, Lauren Southern was like on Slightly Offensive, and she said like the funniest thing, like this term that I've never heard before. She said like authoritarian emo. And I thought it was so funny because they were showing that one girl. She had like the piercing in her nose, and she had like the green hair. She had everything, all those those degenerate qualities of like just trying to be like so different and emo, but then at the same time trying to say like have people to use her pronouns and try to lecture people how to be a degenerate. I don't know what, but it's so funny. It's like they become like the thing that they supposedly hated. And like they used to be shy, now they're just like this, I guess, authoritarians, where they're trying to like impose their will on everybody else, like little Hitlers.
Children.
Children. But they're like little Hitlers, but they're dressed like Antifa and emos, and it's so weird.
They are the children. They're the children from the soccer team that that got a trophy, even though they lost.
Yeah.
Participation medals for everyone.
Where's my trophy? I participated.
I wonder, do any of you guys like either have kids or know any kids that are like in middle school or high school right now? Because I have a suspicion that like back when I was in school, like they're with the goths, but I think the goths now are just like SJWs, I think. Because
Probably.
a lot
Yeah,
of
I
it is
don't-
that same kind of like, look at how dark I am, look at me, and but now it's like, look at me and how self-conscious, and I think it's like a weird evolution of annoying, you know.
Unfortunately, my kids went into like middle school at the time of COVID. Like,
Mhm.
so I never really got to meet any of their friends, but
Mhm.
I mean, my son now he's very goth and or very emo. I wouldn't say goth, he's
Okay.
not goth, but he's
Yeah.
definitely SJW,
Yeah.
SJW, emo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, he's definitely is. It's annoying.
Well,
My daughter though isn't, like, so I don't
Mhm.
really know, like they're two different personalities, but
Mhm.
but yeah, like I mean back in the day, like it was so easy to like pinpoint who's who, and now I don't know, they kind of all blend in together.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, I think what they're doing, like, I don't have any kids, but like I've been exposed to like, how can I say, like, I know like kids right now, like in school, what I've noticed is that like there's an increase of people or kids identifying as the opposite gender, even though
Yeah.
they're like a
Yeah.
certain gender. So like I've noticed that like a lot more in
Mhm.
younger kids where
Mhm.
that maybe they're still kind of confused. Maybe they're just gay, but then like they're pushing like instead of like a girl might be she might refer herself to him, and then
Yeah.
she might just completely cut her hair really really short. And I think, I mean, I think that's something that if it happens, it should happen naturally. But I think what's
Mhm.
happening right now in school is that they're pushing it so hard that
It's a
they're not
trend.
they're not
Yeah.
letting them gracefully like become who they want to become. They're just like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
you like you're a girl, and if you like girls, that's fine. Like, cut your hair short. You're a man. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
dress
but
this
now
way. Like,
it's not just a you're a girl, be a like a masculine girl, or if you're a boy you look like a girl, you're a, you know, you're really a
no,
girl.
here, put on
Like,
makeup. It's like, what?
yeah,
Hold on. This is like a
they're
little
really
kid.
like pushy. They're like really like encouraging about it in an
Mhm.
unhealthy way, I think. Like it's
They're
not just
Well,
it's
confusing
not
kids.
like I heard that some like in some schools there like some teachers were like holding my son told me about this. He's like, yeah, you know, we all took turns saying um coming and saying how proud we are of being this and that, like pronoun.
Mhm.
Like I kid you not. And it's like, okay, what are these
That's
teachers
disturbing.
teaching these
Well,
kids? Yeah, that is so disturbing. Like
What's
literally like
what?
in the classroom, huh?
I'll just go ahead. I'll
Oh
continue.
yeah, like in the classroom, like they're sitting there and the teacher's like, okay, now it's time to like say how proud you are of
Mhm.
being they and them, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like, why are you even having them do this?
What's
Like
weird to me,
what's going on here?
what's weird for me is like, you know, when middle school and high school, I admit I was like a little pervert because, you know, fucking
yeah.
boy. But it's like when you're thrusting this weird gender shit, like I think kids in that age are still little perverts, but it's like it's kind of warping it in a way where like it'd be one thing if like, you know, your teen boy was like, you know, had a stash of Playboys or whatever in house, but
Mhm.
now it's like that same perversion is being mixed with this weird gender shit, and like
Yeah. That
it's
you like you
Well,
hit the nail on the wait, the nail on the head. There you
because
go.
kids are,
well,
yeah. Go
well,
ahead.
they're trying to make it seem like it's like some kind of like social justice or like respect or like need to respect the kids or their choice of
Mhm.
doing. But no,
Yeah.
it's only they're sexualizing these kids at a
Yeah.
young age, and they're making them vulnerable to become victims later on. They're getting, I mean, what they're really doing, they're grooming them for people, for
Hmm.
predators. That's what
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
doing. They're not saying it like straight up, but like what they're doing it by sexualizing them at such a young age. They're just
I,
preparing them for like these other weirdos to take advantage of them.
I
And that's
think
the sad thing.
I think a lot of it is I think they really just don't realize that they're kind of doing it. I think they're like
Some of
so,
them maybe.
I don't know. It's just I get the feeling that I think is that they're so consumed with like compassion that like they've lost they've
They're
lost
looking
the
at the actual logical
yeah,
path of
they've
where everything's
lost,
going.
yeah, they've lost the importance of like having like some kind of stop sign and like, all right, compassion ends
Well,
here.
like
Well,
some
yeah.
some
they don't understand what they're talking, what they're seeing. They don't understand what they're talking about. They think it's cool, and because it's cool, it's trendy, and that's why they're into it. And then that's when they move into the whole, well, I'm this too. You know,
Yeah, it's another way of saying like they don't have a backbone. Just like, oh, just whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
You know, when you're a
It's
kid,
okay.
when you're a kid, you want to be a Power Ranger, right? When you're a little kid, I wanted to be the Yellow Ranger. You know, we always wanted to be that one special character. And so like what they're doing is they're putting it in our cartoons now. So then the kids are looking at the cartoons and like, hey, I want to be just like that character. But then instead of their parents saying, well, hey, you're a boy, you can't be that character, but you can really love that character and stuff like that. And so instead of that, they're just saying, hey, maybe you are that character.
Yeah.
I remember like one time I was drawing because I used to like draw caricatures at this one theme park, and I remember one time I was drawing this little girl as a little mermaid. So like you're sort of drawing for tips a lot, so you're trying to like make it as cute and nice for them. So I'm drawing this really cute mermaid sort of character of the girl, and then like this little boy walks by, he's like, oh, I want to be a mermaid too. So I felt kind of guilty. I should have drawn it so cute. I turned this little boy gay. And the mom's like, no.
It's gonna be something like if this shit keeps going, like the boy that just like likes girls and he just like pussy. That kid's might be like the outcast. That'd be like
that kid's gonna be a rapist.
Yeah.
like because he's straight, he's a rapist now, or
definitely
or
a white
a womanizer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he's totally a white supremacist. He's trying to bring black and brown people down.
He was at the Capitol Hill. Yeah.
He was there. Totally was there.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I recently I've been watching some different shows and stuff just because I have a bunch of different streaming services and everything. And I can't remember all of the shows that I've watched recently, but has anyone else noticed that particularly younger characters, but whenever there's a black male character, they tend to be gay? Like, has anyone else noticed that? Like, it seems to be popping up as a trend in a lot of shows that I've watched recently.
I haven't been watching that much new stuff lately, but like I just noticing like billboards when I drive around LA, like there's always like the really flamboyant black gay guy, like kind of like that, like posing very flamboyant. So you might have something there, but
no, I just thought it was interesting that like and then there may still only be just like one or two black characters in the show, but like they're gay. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm like, all right, so
I mean, well, it's their way
it's
to
a very small demographic we're trying to appeal to here, but
well, it's what happened?
Oh,
She's cutting off. I was just gonna say it's like a way of perpetuating slavery and like discrimination, because people talk about racism so much, and it exists, and there's racist people out there, but I think a lot of them are like the politicians and these people who are in control, like pushing these sort of agendas, like these young black characters being gay, because it's almost like a way to sort of like humiliate them, or like just be like, oh yeah, we're better than you, or like we can take advantage of you. And that's why there's like so many, I think, male black roles that at some point in their career, I think Chappelle brought this up, they ended up playing like a woman character or a transvestite character. He brought up that point. I think that's a very, very telling point of it, just like, okay, there's no more, like, we're not racist anymore, but we're gonna make you dress up like women. It's like, we're not racist, but they are, because they want you. They think that you can vote, they think you can get like an ID. They think that getting an ID is like really easy. We're just gonna make you dress up like a woman. We're not racist. We just like, look, we think you're sexy. It's like, I don't know. It's like people just don't see it. It's like, I see it. I'm like, look at what's really going on. Don't look at what people are saying. Look at what people are doing.
Yeah, I just started noticing that in a couple of shows, and I was
Yeah.
like, this is interesting that it seems like this was the same type of character in the last show I watched, also black and gay.
Yeah. Look at
And there's
that
nothing
one.
wrong with that. Like there's gay black guys, but it's just such a niche
Yeah, well, you can tell
character.
yeah, you can tell when it's obvious. Like, look at that one rapper guy too. He was having intercourse with the guy with the horns.
Oh,
Lil
The
Nas
guy,
X?
what's it, Little Nas, or
Lil
is that
Nas
his
X?
name?
yeah. That was just
It's like
terrible.
how much more obvious like is. Like I saw that, I was like, oh, it's like, what's wrong with you guys? It's like I said.
that whole Lil Nas,
Yeah.
like I just found it offensive as far as like me being a hip hop head from back in the day.
Yeah.
Like if that's considered hip hop now, then motherfuck, man, that's hip hop
Yeah,
in the mainstream level is just dead.
Yeah, it was
That's
Yeah,
it
well,
was a
mainstream.
weird like the song was fine, and then the music video was not so.
Yeah,
It
it's
seemed,
like a way of
it seemed kind
castrating
of
that.
it seemed kind of out of date too. Like it seems like a cross between like what is it, like Madonna's "Like a Prayer" or whatever video,
Like a virgin?
Yes.
Virgin?
mixed. Is it like
No,
a
it's
virgin?
it's
What was it?
There's one where like she kisses like a black Jesus. I don't remember the fuck.
right.
I hate
I'm trying to
Madonna.
okay.
remember. It is something prayer.
It like a combination of that mixed with like there's a Nirvana video that has like a lot of like weird religious imagery on it. I can't remember the song, but it seemed like a cross between that and like the hell representation of like Little Nicky. It just seems super cheesy and out of date. Like, oh wow,
Yeah.
you're take that, Christians. Wow, that's so brave of you.
You were
You
right.
know.
It's like a prayer.
Is it like a prayer? Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like
Ugh.
a prayer.
I know what you were talking about.
Yeah, but yeah, there was nothing like risque to me when I saw it. It just looked ridiculous and stupid.
Yeah, it's like being obedient, right, to their
Yeah.
masters. So
It
I
kinda
know
like-
I'm not racist. I'm just like that's what they're people need to like look into this. Like, isn't it more obvious? Like,
Yeah. Oh wait, let's see. Tara's about to get on. Let's see.
yeah, I think she got kicked out or lost connection.
Well, let's see if she can get on. She says she's trying.
I know that was kind of off track from.
I was thinking though, like, I mean, it's easy for us or anybody to say that, like, a lot of the what's going on is like the media's fault, and I'm not, discounting their involvement in this shit, but like, how much of it is like our involvement with like the media in general? Like, if I could like make a comparison, it's like if you were to go to like a theme park, and this is a theme park that you've been going to like since you were a kid, and there's like a roller coaster that you've been going on as a kid, and like now as an adult you get like sick every time you get on this ride, but you just can't not get on this ride because of the nostalgia or just because you're used to it. Like at what point do like we stop getting on that ride? Like, is it a matter of like not getting in that ride anymore, or do we just not even go to that amusement park? Like, I'm going with this.
Oh yeah, it's like you have to kind of create your own sort of like entertainment. That's why like we're here doing this podcast, just because we're kind of hungry to see or hear like alternative point of views. And I think that's just like the same thing like with alternative rock back in the 90s, where the radio used to kind of just play like a certain type of music, like top pop music, but then like alternative popped up, and alternative was like a mix of like grunge, and then like little by little like they started like there's like the hybrid of rap and all these other styles like which were considered like alternative. But that's the same thing what's happening now with like the news. Like we're getting all these alternative news sources, a lot of these everyday people trying to just put out like put their point of view, their spin of how they see things, and it's like there's a hunger out there for this just because they're not getting it anywhere else.
I think maybe if people start to get tired of the news making them so mad, maybe they'll start to be like, why am I listening to this still? But I think at that point they'll maybe turn it off.
Is it just the news or like how much of it is just like just mainstream media in general? Like I'm at the point where like I'm thinking about like canceling all my streaming services because when I scroll down I see like, oh, here's the black section, here's the trans section. Like it's just getting to a point where it's getting annoying.
I did notice that they added a Asian section.
Yeah. And I think in one there's like a Pacific Islander section in
yeah.
I think Hulu or something.
I
don't know.
Yes.
I don't know where that came from.
I know what you're talking about.
Funny.
Yeah. And like I'm just thinking like, why am I fucking paying for this just to be annoyed? So I don't know. But I do still love watching television and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's
Well,
at a point.
Yeah, I think what it is too is like a way of dividing people, and that's what I loved about Trump was that he was trying to really hard to bring back like American nationalism, and people always misinterpreted that as something as like authoritarian and like Hitler, but like Hitler was like a socialist as well, so it's not the same thing. What he was trying to he's trying to bring everybody. It didn't matter like what color, where you're from, Mexican, Puerto Rican. It was just about everybody that sort of like had like they love the country. That like he just wanted to bring back patriotism. Like he trying to unite everybody despite like some of our differences. Instead of saying, oh no, you're black, you're yellow, you're so and so, you're like gay, you're like you're this. Oh, you're one-legged, you're disabled. Like how about you guys just shut up and like everybody's and that's the problem. Like they're trying to divide everybody. That's why there's so many like different categories now instead of just like saying, okay, well, how about we just all be respectful and decent to one another.
Yeah, well, like why can't there just be a good movie section in
yeah
yeah, you know, like Pacific Islander, like who the fuck cares?
Yeah, you can be Pacific Islander and be in the movie. Just who cares?
Well, and why don't they have like a section for Mexican and a section for like it's
that'll be the Latinx section. Actually, unfortunately.
See, and that's the thing. Like they're pushing it. Like this, they're doing the same thing. I think we brought this up like in an earlier episode too, where like they're trying to like, this is the right word, emasculate like Latino men or Mexican men.
Yeah.
By instead of like coming up with this Latinx, what the hell is that? Like nobody know what the hell that is. Like if you're that confused, like we don't want to know about this. Like do whatever you want. We don't care. It's like you want like
for that Latinx thing to like does that transfer to like the rest of the Spanish language since it's gendered? Like if you say pendejo, do you say pendejex? Like what? How does that work?
I don't know.
And I never.
Oh man. Bendea.
Pendejex.
Yeah. And there's like so many people like with the pansexual and sapiosexual and unilateral sexual and monkey sexual. I don't know. It's like these people are just like making things up. Like they're trying to create their own little world that like what the hell is
did they come up with a word for men? Like or for fathers?
In the Latinx?
What was that one thing that Luke came up with?
Birthing parents?
Oh,
birthing assistant. No, birthing assistant. Didn't Luke come up with that? Or other birthing assistant? That was funny. He did the one panel comic. Yeah, that's funny.
The donor.
The donor.
Cum dumpster. Oh damn! How long were you going? Like over an hour?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should wrap it up.
Probably.
Yeah, wrap it
up. I guess if anyone wants to plug anything they're working on or anything like that, their website.
You can find me on the Instagram at TmHandartist and my comic book on angelprotected.com or on Amazon Books. Projects that I'm working on, just my comic book.
I have like 3 accounts, so uh,
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll just start wrapping it up. Yeah, we kind of went all over the place with this, but whatever.
All over the world.
Yeah.
We went
And
all
back.
over the world. Huh? Who?
I mean, it's a bummer that Luke couldn't be on, but
I know.
yeah. But I mean, he'll hopefully be on next week. We'll have another guest next week.
Yay.
Talk about some interesting things next week. So I guess we'll just end it here. I'm Senor Filth. Thank you for watching. It's another episode of the Critical Introvert Show. Please share, like, and subscribe to the channel if you can. And we'll see you another time.